Hey folks, well, here we are, the first episode of Let's Watch Cops. Before I get too far into it, I guess I should give a brief overview of what Cops is, or rather was. It was a Hasbro property that came out in 1988, and of course had a cartoon show that ran from 88 to 89, a toy line, and a comic book series, which I honestly didn't even know about. The word COPS itself stands for Centralized Organization of Police Specialists, because we loved our acronyms in the 80s. Fun fact, this show actually came out before the other COPS show, and I remember that because I remember being very excited when I thought they were going to show it in prime time, and then was disappointed. So as I said in my introduction, I remember liking the show, but I don't remember much about it. So, let's see how well it holds up as we dive into the case of the Stuck-Up Blimp. I should point out that I'm going off the way it's set up on the disc, so this is not the first episode, or at least it's not the origin episode. I don't know if this was how it was aired, or production order, or what. So if some things were explained beforehand, I don't know them, so I'm just going to roll with it as things happen. So, we start the episode proper on the shot of a blimp flying over city. Yes, much like Batman the Animated Series would do a few years down the line. Proving that Bruce Timm is indeed a hack, and we should mock him and take away all his accolades. Okay, yeah, I'm sure it's just coincidence, but meh. Anyway, this is our first introduction to Big Boss, and I legitimately forgot he had a metal hand, so when I saw that, and that he was just petting a cat, I was like, Dr. Claw? I also forgot that he was so,
Empire City's rich and famous, huh? All stuck on that blimp. What an opportunity!
Yeah, that. Like, I get they're going for a 1920s gangster vibe, but man, they really went for it, didn't they? Anyway, he wants to rob the blimp, because, you know, there are going to be rich people there, and he's a criminal mastermind. And to do so, he has his three best guys on the job. Berserko on the left, Rock Crusher on the right, and in the center, Macho Man Randy Savage?
Ooh yeah, gonna steal from that blimp, brother, just like how my Intercontinental title was stolen from me by Jack Tunney.
Big Boss has them go over the plan again, so he's sure this brain trust gets it.
We crashed the party on the blimp, destroy the radio so they can't call for help.
Gotcha.
And we steal all the loot we can carry.
Obviously.
And I zoom up in a copter and collect the gang and the loot.
Alright.
Not before I cut the blimp loose.
Okay, sounds great. Can't wait to see how they fuck it up. The first thing they have to do is get tuxedos, where we cut to...
Officer! You forgot something! No tuxedo's complete without a top hat.
Thanks.
Ta-ta!
Oh. Oh no. Ooh, yeah, this did not age well at all. Let's just ignore that part and focus on Hardtop here, one of our titular cops. He proves how good he is by finding Berserko and Macho Man just walking down the street there. Okay, so he does do a check to see if they are criminals, but it does it like this. How? Just how? Well, no time to worry about that, because he sees them committing a crime in broad daylight, and so gives chase. Although, I gotta say, that big honking gun on his wrist has gotta be cumbersome. But he has bigger problems to worry about, because they went up the fire escape, and he has a crippling fear of heights! Shown off here in a perfect representation of what that's like.
Don't look down. Just don't look down.
To get across the two roofs, Macho Man here takes that gutter and snaps it like a Slim Jim so they can use it as a bridge. I'm not really sure that's how that works. Top goes to stop them, but then gets hypnotized, I guess, because clearly when you're afraid of heights, your eyes look like Judge Doom's. Either way, he can't do it and fails. And the criminals make their exit in the most spectacular way.
Let's go, bright boy. We got a blimp to rob.
Need a little excitement? Kick a pane of glass!
We then cut to Cops HQ, where what the hell is going on there? What did that robot dog do to that man to make him so afraid? Also, where's my damn robot dog? Well, no time to dwell on that, because here's our main lead, Bulletproof, in a teal tuxedo. Bold choice. We also find out that this highly trained team of police specialists are a bunch of gossips.
Hardtop had never missed a chance to meet his dream girl. You mean Whitney
Morgan. Whitney Morgan. The best darn reporter in Empire City.
Could they make him any more of a sad sack? I mean, I'm trying to feel sorry for him because fear of heights is a very real thing, but he just whines about how he won't be able to impress the reporter he has a crush on, and then just leaves. No crimes you want to report there, officer? No? Just gonna go to this thing? Okay. We cut back to the Brain Trust here, as they had to adapt their plans because they couldn't get the tuxedos.
We'll be able to go anywhere on that blimp. Dressed like waiters.
I mean, it's not wrong, but call me crazy, I think they're gonna stick out just a bit. But before we find out how that goes, let's check in with Hardtop and Bulletproof.
How long have you been afraid of heights?
Who, me? What makes you think I'm afraid of heights?
Then how do you explain the look of fear in your eyes?
Bulletproof, you don't hold back, do you? Well, inside the blimp, I guess the crooks are doing a pretty good job of fitting in. Or not? What the hell was that? Well, after that bit of nonsense, we're introduced to Whitney Morgan, our intrepid reporter for this series, who immediately corners Bulletproof with her crew of robots. You know, like all reporters have here in the year 2020. But as we saw, Bulletproof has no time for this nonsense, and so just shrugs her off. And then...
She looks even prettier in person.
Look, Hardtop, my dude, I am trying not to treat you like Alison Pregler does to Eddie in her Baywatching reviews, but you are making this so very hard on me. Of course, it doesn't help when his crush, the star reporter of the city, I remind you, asks questions like this.
What exactly are these things?
Sandwiches. They're sandwiches. What do you mean, what are those? Clearly those are sandwiches. Okay, maybe she meant what kind of sandwiches, but that's not what she asked. Unless she's trying to bring back a dead meme. Especially doesn't help when this happens just a few seconds later.
I probably wouldn't have liked those little sandwiches anyway.
Woman, what are you doing to me? Anyway, that does bring Hardtop face to face with Whitney, and before he can say anything to make himself look stupid, Cambot here drags her away for an interview with one of the rich people. On the way to do so, she quite clearly runs into Berserko, and it's about this time that our highly trained police officers start to suspect that maybe the waiters in ill-fitting suits are criminals. And so they give chase, and boy, I hope something doesn't happen to this ludicrously oversized cake being put together in the kitchen. Yep, there it is. But even comedy pratfalls can't stop our heroes from being outnumbered and outgunned, and thus thrown into the freezer. And I'll have more to say on that in a bit here. As the Brain Trust is going to the plan once again, Rock Crusher adds this little bit into it.
Don't forget to make me a doggy bag. I like those little sandwiches.
Gee, I wonder what's gonna happen. Okay, back in the freezer. Now, obviously, these guys are gonna escape. But I have to say something on a personal level. I work in a kitchen, and I know that every cooler and every freezer has a little dial on it, so if you get locked inside, you can turn that, and the whole thing pops open, and you can get out so you don't freeze to death. It's really kind of ruined this whole trope for me. But even barring that, if you look at the door here, it doesn't look like anything is blocking it or there's a lock on it at all. So, you know, they could just try to open the door. But nope! Bulletproof uses an explosive that he had on him for some reason and blows the door open. I guess property damage just isn't a thing the super cops worry about. Oh, and bonus point, he radios for backups because why should the criminals bother to pat him down or check him?
It's crime fighting time!
Did he say that to us? Well, no time to worry about that because Willem Dafoe? Is Willem Dafoe robbing people now? Okay, while Willem Dafoe is robbing the guest, Rock Crusher is cutting the blimp free. While Bulletproof goes to stop him, he instructs Hardtop to help try to get the landing in place so that the other cops can help come arrest the criminals. Because, you know, who better to stand hundreds of feet above the street with only a waist-high thin railing to prevent him from falling to his death than the guy with the crippling fear of heights? Well, proving that he doesn't know what excessive force means, Bulletproof uses one of his explosives to disarm Crusher before he gives him one hellacious punch. And then, to quote Brian Zane, they has fight. One that in the end leaves Bulletproof hanging.
Hate to leave you hanging!
Hey, don't steal my stupid joke, you son of a bitch! So as Macho Man comes back to help his criminal buddies flee, Whitney gets in Berserko's face for one last interview because, you know, that trope. He is having none of this, and so he chucks Cambot right out the window.
Beamer!
But this gives Bulletproof the perfect entrance he needs to come back in and save the day. Until he realizes he's too old for this shit and just collapses. I'm sure there's some kind of explanation for this in an earlier episode or the origin episode, but we don't get that here, so yeah. Back with Hardtop, he's infected with the Judge Doom eyes again, and then he dies. Okay, no, he just falls onto the strut that connects the blimp to the building. But he does do this. Alright, I know I've been ragging on the guy all episode, but holy hell, that's impressive, because that's gotta be a couple 100 pounds of metal at least. Oh, but it gets better, because the other three cops pull this stunt.
Longhorn, use your power cups!
Just, God bless you, 80s cartoons, and your disregard for physics. So now that the cops are here, the criminals start blasting. With real bullets, I might add. Like, that's impressive, because they could have gotten away with having laser guns since this is a future time, but nope, they have the sounds and animated actual bullets. Also, this dude will be totally dead, because there's no way the tops of those containers are going to stop that bullet. Now, there is just way too much insanity in this fight scene for me to really go over it here, so I'm just going to play you one of my favorite bits. That face, just that face. In the confusion, Berserko has taken Whitney hostage and grabbed one of the bags that is clearly the loot and nothing else. So I'm not really sure why he took her hostage, because once he gets outside, he just sits her down there. And then she almost falls to her death for no reason. Will Hardtop be able to overcome his fear to save the woman he has a crush on? Of course he does, because it's an 80s cartoon. But no time to celebrate, because Rock Crusher tries to tackle them both off the blimp, but is stopped by Longarm, who has to be the strongest one of the entire team. After that, the rest of the gang is arrested, and we find out that, oh my god, weird twist, the bag that was left was the one with all the loot! Who could have seen that coming? Which leads into the hilarious scene where Berserko has to explain to Big Boss that they have sandwiches. Then we find out that Cambot somehow survived, just so he could cock-block Hardtop again before we get our lesson for the episode.
So, what's this about you being afraid of heights? Not anymore. Anybody can conquer their fears.
Yep, it's just that easy, folks. Have something you're deathly afraid of? Well, clearly you're not putting enough effort in, you loser! And thus ends the first episode of Cops I've watched in about 30 years. How did it hold up? Well, better than I thought, but there's still plenty of 80s cheesiness going on here. I'm not sure why this was the first episode on the disc, but I feel it probably does set the tone for the series. Will it get better? Will it get worse? I guess we'll find out in a future time.